If you want to go into a business, do something that you love, something that you enjoy, something that you're passionate about. Then the work just becomes play. The time doesn't matter. You're not clock watching. You're quite happy to be there, opening up and then locking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you're having fun while you're doing it. The other thing would be never become too attached. And that allows you to keep going forward and not looking back. My entrepreneurial journey actually started probably back in the Punjab, back in a dusty village, where my grandfather had great plans for us. He wanted us abroad and doing things. I left when I was 8 years old, left my grandfather behind, left my grandmother behind. When you're coming all these thousands of miles into a new country, you're not coming over here just to be normal or ordinary. You're always going to do something special. I always knew that one day I would have my own business. And the thing was, I wasn't impatient about it. I was very fortunate that I worked in Yarrow's shipyards for 8 years, and a lot of people would think that was a wasted 8 years, but not for me, because I think it was not just an apprenticeship into shipbuilding, it was an apprenticeship into the Glasgow psyche, Scottish people, how they work, how they think, the humour, and that was very important for me, because everything that we do is all about people. It's all about that connection that we have with each other. And through Yarrow's, that allowed me to develop that connection, and Scotland became my home. I ended up working in a restaurant, the Ashoka in Argyll Street, which my friend owned at the time. I was in my early 20s. I was walking past and he just came out of the restaurant and he said, look, I need a barman tonight. Can you help me out? I said, sure, but I'd never pulled a pint before. I used to work all day in the shipyards, and then in the evening, 3-4 nights a week, I would work in the restaurant, moonlighting as a waiter with a dicky bow, and I just loved the buzz of the restaurants, and I just couldn't get enough of it. As time went on, I got a full-time job in the restaurant, became a manager. My friend then bought another restaurant. I became a partner, eventually bought him out, and from there, the restaurant group, the chain, just grew and grew. The good thing at that time was I wasn't just building up a restaurant business, I was also building up a property portfolio, because all the restaurants that we bought the freeholds. My grandfather said to me that, see, if somebody is selling land that's connected to your land, it's worth a lot more to you than it's worth to anybody else. Always buy it. And I always did that, right? If a shop came up next door, I bought it. And I ended up in Argyll Street owning almost the whole block, because as each shop came up, I bought it because I'll knock it through, I can do more with it than somebody else can. And it was just simply that advice that somehow stuck in the back of my head. And one of the things with expansion I always looked at was the business model. It was never going to be a city centre initially. It was always going to be the suburbs. It was always going to be lots of chimneys. The restaurant that I had, the Ashoka, became quite iconic. We were very, very big in takeaways and home deliveries. In fact, the Ashoka West End, we were the very first restaurant, I believe, in Scotland to do home deliveries. Nobody was doing home deliveries. So we started actually doing home deliveries. And then, again, way ahead of our time, we set up a call centre. And so we had this one number that linked it to all the restaurants for home deliveries. And of course, we had 15 young student people, right, and taking orders. So you would go through, they would answer the phone, and your last order would come up, and the phone would be recognised. And this was all new stuff, right? And then, of course, when they press send, then it printed off at the nearest restaurant. What we're actually doing was making them more efficient, because what was happening in the restaurant is, you can imagine, there's 2 phone lines. The staff's under pressure, looking after customers, and the phone's ringing. It's the last thing they want. I found sometimes in the restaurant, you'd be putting the phone off the hook, right? Because you can't deal with it. And because you're doing it all manually, you were making mistakes and taking addresses and all that stuff. Then we just sort of flipped the whole thing where somebody could actually talk to somebody on the phone and have time to chat to them and maybe even try and upsell something, make the whole experience much better. It was a natural progression. Perhaps it was easier because we did have sites all over. The postcodes that we couldn't cover, we approached other restaurant owners and we approached takeaways and said, look, we're getting all these phone calls and we can't deliver in your area. Would you like to be our agent in that area? And if you don't, we'll ask the guy across the street. You see? Of course they're going to come on board. It was a natural progression. It was actually at that stage that I decided to sell up. To me, business or making money is a means to an end. Really, the only thing that money is useful for is to give you the freedom to do what you want to do with life. If you want to go into a business, do something that you love, something that you enjoy, something that you're passionate about. And then the work just becomes play. The time doesn't matter. You're not clock watching. You're quite happy to be there, opening up and then locking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you're having fun while you're doing it. The other thing would be never become too attached. And that allows you to keep going forward and not looking back.